Hola! In this video you will learn the basics of how to tell the time in Spanish. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? First of all, ¿qué hora es? We're going to start the expressions of it's 3, it's 1, it's 4, it's 10 with son las or es la. We use son las with every hour except for one. That would be es la. Es la una, it's 1. Son las dos, it's 2. Son las tres, it's 3. Like that and on. Careful with when it's noon or midnight, because you could say es mediodía or es medianoche. Okay? Perfect. So what about 2? Which one do we use? Son las or es la? Only when it's 1, it will be es la. So now we use son las dos. Son las dos. Careful if we're using plural for any numbers that is not 1, that are not 1. So 2, son las dos, son las tres. We're using the third person plural of the verb ser. Okay? And then what about this? Son las or es la? Son las tres. And like that with every other hour. Okay? Son las 4, son las 5, like that. Then what about this? Es la or son las? It's 1:10, right? So if it's 1 or 1:30 or 1:45, no matter what it is, it will be es la. Es la una. And then after, anytime you could use y for it's 1:10, 1:20, 1:23, 1:48. It doesn't matter. You will always be using y like that for 1:10 or 1. Literally, it means and. 1 and the number of minutes that have passed. Okay. What else? So after the time, we use y. Son las 7. It's 7. And literally, that's what we say in Spanish. And 23. 23. Son las 7 y 23. What about if it's 15? Y cuarto. Careful. This is not like cuatro, like number 4. Cuatro is T-R-O. It's a little bit different. So cuarto. How do we say it's 3:15? Son las 3:15. Good. And then for when it's 30 minutes, you would say y media. Careful with the vowels, the pronunciation. Media, y media. Son las 5:30. Son las 5:30. 5:30. Okay, so let's see. If it's 3:15, what do we say? Obviously, we start with son las and not es la. Remember, es la is only for when it's 1. So son las 3:15. Cuarto. And you could also say son las 3:15. You can just state the minutes that have passed. Son las 3:15. 3:15, literally. Okay. Now, what about 4:30? Son las 4 y what? Son las 4:30. 4:30. But careful, you can also say it's 4:30. Son las 4:30. Careful with the pronunciation of 30. Sometimes it's a little tricky too. So careful. 30. E-I-A. 30. 30. Good. Careful with medio. It would be 4:30 in the feminine form. Okay, so after the halfway point, after you pass the 30 minutes of each hour, of a given hour, we also have the option of saying not just 5:40, that could be son las 5:40. That is fine, that's right, it's correct. But we can also say, like the same way that in English you can say it's 10 till 5 or 10 till 2, things like that. We do something similar. In Spanish, we use the next hour. So if it's 5:40, what's going to be the next hour? Like I said, after you pass the 30 minutes, okay? So you would say the next hour, son las 6, minus, which is the word menos, the number of minutes left until that hour. So you would say son las 6, it's 6, minus how many minutes left until it's 6? 20, right? So son las 6 menos 20, menos 20. So you could say son las 5:40, that's fine, it's 5:40, but you could also say son las 6 menos 20, minus whatever minutes left. And remember, it's the next hour, 6 menos 20. Okay, what about this? It's almost 9. It's 5 minutes until 9. So we could say it's 8:55 or is 5 minutes till 9. How do we say all this? ¿Qué hora es? Son las 9 menos 5, the way we just learned, is the next hour, las 9 menos 5 minus 5 minutes. O son las 8:55. That's what I was saying. Son las 8:55. 8:55. Okay, so we have those two ways. Perfect. Now remember these expressions. Write them down, practice. So when it's o'clock, you just say it's 2. But you could also say it's 2 o'clock. En punto. Son las 2. Son las 2. It's 2. En punto. O'clock. Midday or noon, like I mentioned earlier, is el mediodía or es el mediodía, and es medianoche for midnight, or es la medianoche. And then these are super important to know if we're talking about the morning or the afternoon or evening. So if it's an hour in the morning, you would say, let's say that is 11 in the morning. Son las 11 de la mañana, in the morning. Okay? Now, sometimes we use de la madrugada. It's a very long word. Madrugada. When it's really, really early in the morning, maybe from, 1 a.m. until 5 a.m. when you're supposed to be sleeping, maybe. So it will be de la madrugada. So if you're saying is 3 in the morning, you could say son las 3, it's 3, son las 3 de la mañana, or if it's that early, you could also use this one, de la madrugada. You'll see an example later. And then in the afternoon and in the evening or at night, there are different expressions here. So the afternoon or evening, we would say de la tarde for those two. One is the afternoon or evening, de la tarde. Let's say at 5. Son las 5. It's 5 de la tarde. But after maybe 7 or 8 p.m., you will be using de la noche. Let's say 10 p.m. It's 10 p.m. How do we say that? Son las 10 de la noche. Awesome. And then let's see this example. It's 7 o'clock. How do we say o'clock again? Remember? ¿Qué hora es? Son las 7 en punto. En punto. En punto means literally on the dot. Yeah. Okay, what if it's midnight? Es medianoche. Remember? Or son las 12. Some people say son las 12 de la noche. Son las 12 de la noche. Or es medianoche. Es medianoche. Okay? What about noon? Similar. Es el mediodía o es mediodía. Or some people also say son las 12 del día. Son las 12, it's 12 during the day. Okay. Now, what about if it's in the morning? Careful, this is really early in the morning, right? 1:25. Es la una. Remember, when it's 1 something, if you start with 1, you would say es la. Es la 1:25 de la mañana. It's in the morning, but remember, if it's really, really early, you could use or this expression too, de la madrugada. Okay, there's an explanation here about that. When it's the wee hours, the very, very early hours, you would use de la madrugada. PM time, son las 2 de la tarde, like I was saying. If it's in the afternoon, de la tarde. If it's later after 7 or 8, you can use de la noche. Okay? Perfect. And this is just a final summary with all of them, all of the times. Remember, when it's 1, you would say es la una. This is how you start the sentence with these. And then es la 1:05. Es 1:05. So es la 1:10. That's for the minutes. And after you pass the 30-minute point, you can also say, remember, menos 25, menos 20, menos 24, menos 15, or menos cuarto with the menos. And you will need to state the next hour, okay, like I mentioned before. And that will be it. Something a little bit different. So when you want to say at what time, not the time that it is right now, that's what we just covered, right? It's 1, it's 2:30, that's to express what time it is right now. But if you want to say that your class is at 3, not right now, but it's at 3, it's at 11, the concert, the party is at 5, at 7, you would use a different structure to start the sentence. At what time? At what time is an event? A la una or a las dos. Instead of saying es la una or son las dos, you will be using a la or a las to say at. Let's look at this question. ¿A qué hora es la clase de español? What time is the Spanish class? La clase de español es a las 8, a las 10, a las 5, like that, okay? And you have a few examples here that you can just take a look at these. You can pause the video and see these, and see the movie is at 6. The concert is at 1. When it's 1, a la. When it's more than 1, like 2, 3, 4, 6, anything, a las. Okay? Perfect. Let me know if you have any questions, and that's the end. Thank you.